Hi there, welcome to No Nonsense Whiskey. My name's Vin PF and on today's episode we're covering another little bottle kill video from my good friend Alex. Now if you've been following the channel you'll know I've been doing these occasionally. A good friend of mine, he's been sort of lending me bottles that have got a little heel kill left in them, and I'm sort of covering them to see what I think. You know, that's a good way of me covering bottles that I wouldn't have bought myself, and this definitely falls into that category, and we'll get into that a little bit later on. But this is the first for me because you know, I love independent bottlers on this channel, but Samaroli is a brand that I'd not really interacted much with in the past. The price is a little bit high for me, but yeah, it's a good opportunity to try something like this. And that's what we've got on the table today. We've got this Samaroli, and you know, their names are a bit odd. It's really hard to find information about them online because they've done a lot of Caol Ila, and that's what this is, right? This is an Islay single malt Scotch whisky, it says on the label. There you can see that. Nice sort of three kings, the island kings or whatever they want to call themselves on this. And this is a Caol Ila 2013, bottled in 2022. So I don't know the exact dates on that, but it's going to be sort of roughly around that sort of like 8-9 years, depending on when it was actually bottled, give or take. A single cask, obviously, and this is a 45%er as well. Now, this was actually selected for the whiskeybarrel.com 15th anniversary. So this is the only place you can find this online that isn't like an auction or something like that. And I'll drop a link to them below. That's obviously non-affiliated whatsoever. This review's got absolutely nothing to do with Samaroli or the Whisky Barrel itself at all. This was just a friend who gave me this. Now, so it's bottled specifically for them, and this retails for about £120 in the UK, which is, you know, it's a lot. It's a lot of money, but we'll get into that. And as we do on my videos, I tend to get into kind of value a little bit later on. But before we do that, let's get into the actual whiskey and see what we've got in the glass. Samaroli are, you know, if you haven't heard of them, by the way, are an Italian independent bottler. They sort of cite themselves as the first non-British independent bottler. Obviously haven't been able to corroborate that, so I'm sure that's true, but it's probably fair to say that they're the most highly regarded independent bottler in Italy, and maybe in surrounding countries as well, you know, even if it's something that I haven't tried before. I've certainly heard of them, and people sort of rave about their liquid. Really kind of going for that kind of you know, single cask vibe. This one again is 45%, so this isn't a single cask strength. It is just merely single cask, and like I said, roughly around that sort of like 8-9 years, something like that. But yeah, on the bottle it doesn't say anything about non-chill filtered or natural coloured, but I know that that's their bag, so we're gonna give them a pass on that one. Although, you know, I quite like that to be on the bottle and on the kind of marketing vibes. But if it isn't, it's no biggie. You know, the people of Whiskey Base assure me it's both of those things, you know, non-chill filtered and natural coloured. But you can kind of get that anyway from here. So you can see it's quite light in colour. It's kind of straw colour. Generally speaking, that's what I expect from a youthful Caol Ila ex-bourbon cask, which again, I don't know for sure that this is ex-bourbon, but I'm going to take a punt and say, yeah, it is. I would expect a little bit more colour than that. I would also say it's probably, it's definitely refill, but I'm going to wager it's probably second fill. But that's just me having a good old guess at this sort of thing. Let's get onto the nose then and see what we've actually got in the glass, shall we? Now, you know, Islay, Caol Ila, this is like obviously a peated dram. For me, it's got a beautiful kind of seaweed, sea air start on it. Morphs into a bit of kind of like a smoked or barbecued salmon I'm going to go with on this one. Sometimes I talk about sort of barbecued meats, but this is definitely on that kind of fishier side of things. The back end is kind of like a floral note, a bit of lemongrass, that sort of thing. You know, I'm enjoying it. It's dare I say, I think I would pick this out as a Caol Ila if I was sort of nosing this blind. It's got that kind of vibe about it. Yeah, lovely. Let's try on the palate. Again, it's kind of that kind of typical Caol Ila vibes coming on about it. Oddly, if you're very quick, I got a kind of sweet pear drop note right at the start before the smoke started wafting in, but I'm talking like milliseconds. You've got very little time to enjoy that sweetness before the smoke comes across. Of course, that's lovely as well. We do like smoky whiskies on this channel. It kind of morphs a little bit more away from the fishier side of things into the kind of barbecued meats. You know, if you get a nice rub, some mustard, that sort of thing. That's what I'm getting from this, you know, a nice charred meat vibe on the beach. You know, that's kind of one of my favourite things to say, you know, a barbecue on the beach. That's kind of the vibes of this. It finishes off with a bit of kind of white pepper spiciness. We'll have a little sip to talk about the finish, shall we? Now the finish, I would say, medium long. Finishes in kind of like that white pepper spice is sticking around along with the smokiness as well. This isn't like a heavy peat. It is just a nice waft of smokiness, that kind of barbecued meat vibe that I associate with Caol Ila, to be fair. Now, talking about this completely honestly, as I always try to do, for me, I mean, 120 quid is a lot of money, right? So I'm not spending that sort of money on bottles. You know, some of you might well be, and I know quite a few people have bought this and are happy with it. For me, it's drastically overpriced. You know, I'm sure people are enjoying this. It is a lovely, lovely dram. However, being a whiskey fan that I am, and the independent bottler fan that I am, you can get a very similar experience to this. You can get Caol Ila single cask 9-year-olds for half the price, you know. And for me, yeah, I mean, all right, they've picked a really amazing cask for this, but it's not enough. It's not enough of a leap from the kind of usual vibes that I would get from Caol Ila. 120 quid is a lot of money. Yeah, for me, I would say on that vibe, not a winner. It's a lovely dram. Very glad to have tried it. Really happy to kind of drink Caol Ila always. But yeah, I have to think if I'd have spent that sort of money on it myself, I don't know, it's hard to say, right? The psychology kicks in a little bit, and if I spent that sort of money, I might be sort of saying to myself, this is amazing. You know, and my brain must be like firing synapses to tell me it's amazing. Coming at it from an external point of view where I haven't spent that money is leading me to believe that it's an inflated price. But I don't know anything about the production methods of this. I don't know why they picked 45%. Just one of those things. Now, yeah, that might upset some people, but it is what it is. That's the name of the game on this show. I'll give you my honest opinion, and that's it. One final thing as well, and I will say this completely kind of unbiasedly, because I actually quite like this. Was surprised to find it's a screw cap. Screw cap. Now, obviously, usually as whiskey drinkers, we associate screw cap with kind of cheaper whiskies. But I have to say, again, this is going to be an unpopular opinion, but as someone in the engineering world, as I am, I'm interested in materials and their properties. And in terms of actually sealing a bottle, when this is wrenched, technically speaking, that provides a better seal than a cork. Yeah, I know that's going to upset some people. People love their corks. I don't like corks. Corks break. Corks are noisy. Yeah, all right, we get the pop. We like that pop, but corks are noisy. They break. They put sediment in my drink. They're not actually that good a seal. Sometimes they shrink if you don't treat them properly enough. You haven't got to worry about that here. Screw it up. But yeah, just thought I would note that at the back end, because I was surprised to see that there. It's not often I see a screw cap. Sometimes I'll see a synthetic cork or a glass stopper or something like that as an alternative to cork, but I very rarely see a screw cap on a kind of premium end spectrum whiskey. Final thought. But yeah, I'll enjoy the last little bit of this. This is literally the end of it now, and that bottle will be my bottle kill video coming up next week, something like that. But yeah, cheers to you, and I'll see you again on more No Nonsense Whiskey videos.